Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again to another session of Speak Your Mind. It's another happy, beautiful Saturday night. We're in your living room, live and direct. It is a live show. And I welcome you back again. Last week we were off, and I know some of you enjoyed the replay because I think it was the one covering where I try to get the school kids to pat themselves on the back and get the parents to pat their kids on the back. And pat yourself, parents, on the back. So big up to yourself if you heard yourself and saw that show last week. So tonight we're live and direct, coming to you straight from the studio. Hopefully tonight we'll have a engaging, fruitful show. You know, as usual, I like to make it live. Even when you don't call and I get tons of texts. Texts are welcome as well. So I like to make it live. Tonight, as usual, you know, go ahead and call who you need to call. Let them know the Speak Your Mind show is on. Of course, you guys know I'm here to listen, to carry the message, share your message, share your feelings. I'm glad that some of you are finally building up the courage to speak out on whatever you feel is necessary to speak out against. And I got to point out every time I come to this show, every week, that, you know, it might take a while. It might seem like, you know, the complaints or the concerns go on deaf ears. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It really doesn't, you know. The people who are responsible are really listening. And they do make a lot of effort to try to change. Even opposition in government, you know, are listening to you. And they carry your message even if they take it and twist it a little bit to their own satisfaction. But either way, it's good. It's a message. And they hear your cry. So don't feel no way that, you know, we don't see results in 1 day or 2 days or 1 month. We think, oh, man, you know, nobody's listening. But they are listening. So, you know, feel free to speak out. And, again, you can do it in a way that it's not, you don't seem like you're trying to pull anybody down. You're simply, as a concerned citizen, a parent, or a person living in a community, concerned about what you think, you know, system should be looking at to improve the life of people in that neighborhood or the community or the territory as a whole. So, you know, let's all get involved. If you don't get involved, trust me, you don't have much to complain about. You know, I want to tell some people, I remember listening to people all the time about, I ain't going to vote, I ain't going to vote. You know, ain't going to make no difference, I ain't going to vote. You're just going to take one set out and put in the next set. Well, let me tell you something. If you're one of them people who run around with that kind of talk, but you ain't going to vote, well, guess what? A no vote is a vote. If you don't vote, it is a vote. So, you know, you can either go in and put your X where you think it needs to go, once you have the right to do so, or you can stay away and let somebody else do it for you. But either way, it's a vote. And you're making a decision one way or the other, whether for or against. If you're against something and you don't go and vote against it, then you're for it. So don't mind people when they say that. So if you're one of them kind of people, get rid of that notion. Take it out of your head. You know, we live in a good society. The BVI is a very good society. I don't care what nobody say. Sometimes we have our challenges like any place else. But the system is good. It needs to be tweaked. Everybody's not going to be satisfied. Everybody's never going to get their way, no matter what. But Marty said, you know, once you can get the majority, you know, it's going to move right. And that's why it is. Majority always rules. So, you know, don't feel no way. So, call your friends, your neighbors. Let them know. Speak Your Mind is on. I'm here right now. Hopefully, Courtney will be here in a little bit. And we're going to do this thing together. If not, you know me, I don't hold up. I don't hold back. I don't have any fear. You know, there's people out there, sometimes they see me. You know, they come by the taxi stand and they make a lot of accusation. You know, there's something I really wanted to put out there, but I'm holding back on it about, you know, behavior, victimization, government employees, civil servants, you know, and high-ranking civil servants, the way they behave, the kind of things they say. You know, we talk about bullying, boss. That's some real stress out here. And I know what some of you to go through. I hear you. Sometimes you meet me in a corner, you want to talk about it because you're afraid to say it somewhere else because you're not getting any result. You know, we got leaders in this country who should be leading, and they got their bulldogs out there, you know, running around trying to intimidate people. We got the governor sleeping on the job. We got the deputy governor sleeping on the job. We got the premier sleeping on the job. And these bulldogs are out there pretty much doing whatever they want to do. They say whatever they want to say to people. They mistreat people. You know, a lot of you sometimes are frustrated with, you know, probably your applications or, you know, your requests for whatever, and it goes to certain departments. And you're asking yourself, why is it delaying? What's the problem? You know, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a BV Islander, or I'm a compliant citizen of the territory, and I can't get any headway. I tell you what I think is happening. There's some people in certain government department that are probably, whenever they see your name on something or my name on something, you know what they do? They probably take your stuff and throw it in the garbage. And somebody must be held accountable for that. So I know what you're saying. I'm going to have a special show on this one day where we're going to talk about, you know, people just, you know, abusing their powers, breach of office, you know, misleading public, you know, disrespecting other equals in government, you know, within different departments. And I'm talking about specifically government civil servants. I'm talking about high-ranking government civil servants that are sitting around in this country manipulating, you know, disrespecting other, you know, people in the territory just because we don't agree. Just because you don't agree with them and their philosophies and their behavior, and they have the upper hand, they feel like, yeah, I'm in a position, you know, I got the backing of the government, I got the backing of the governor, you know, nothing ain't gonna happen. And that's what's happening right now. They run around with this kind of behavior. So I know what you're saying, but ladies and gentlemen, trust me, someday, the bottom of the bucket gonna fall out, and those same people gonna be in that bucket, and they're gonna fall out with the water, and there ain't gonna be nowhere for them to land. So keep doing your do, you know, don't ever give up. You know, whenever you feel like you're being victimized, if you get a chance to record them, don't antagonize the situation. Don't help it. You know, keep your cool. You know, relax. Put on your tape recorder, your videotape. Get your buddy or somebody around the corner to do it for you. You know, and just when you build enough information and evidence, you know, it's going to be so much that nobody can ignore it, and something will have to be done. You know, so keep the faith. So, without any further ado, I'm going to hit you up on some of my talking points. And, you know, if you feel free to talk on those, go ahead. If you want to bring in something else that's, you know, bugging you, and you really want to get it out there, because you and I know that, again, the people who are responsible for making changes are listening, and they're paying good attention. Let's go ahead and have that conversation. Something big getting ready to happen. And I know a lot of us working class people, especially a lot of folks who, you know, who migrate to the territory to try to make an honest living. You know, a lot of you are complaining for years now about minimum wage. And even through this show, I'm proud to say, since I've been here, we probably had about 2 or 3 shows on minimum wage and looking at that and maybe trying to improve that and increase it. And there was just an announcement made recently at one of the government meetings. They were having community meetings, and I think it was right here in Puzzle. And the Deputy Premier, Minister for Natural Resources and Labor, mentioned that they have a group of people in mind where they're going to establish a commission and start looking at raising the minimum wage. So a lot of you should be excited. But what I want to hear from you tonight is, do you think it's a good idea? And I'm sure most of you probably do, because why wouldn't you want an increase in minimum wage. That's what we've been talking about for years. But if it's going to be increased, what do you think is a satisfactory raise for working people? Right now, people are using making anywhere between $4 and $5 an hour. Look at the BVI, look at, the cost of living, everything pretty much is very high. We know that. But also there's a lot of factors involved. I mean, when I think about raising the minimum wage and looking at the BVI as a whole, especially in relation to the financial services sector, one of the reasons I think so many people come to the BVI to work is because our wages are low, and there's a good quality of life here. And don't mix up the two when I say good quality of life. It is a good quality of life. It's just that you're not making the money to live up to that standard, and I understand that. So I'm not, pulling that down. I'm simply saying quality of life is good, but it'd be nice if we could make a little bit more money. I want to get your take on that. I want to know what you think about the whole announcement about minimum wage. Looking at that, the government is probably going to consider increasing minimum wage. What do you think is a fair amount? What kind of standard? In United States, it's been a debate for a long time. Obama just had a lot of conversation about raising minimum wage in America. And what he was able to do is raise minimum wage on a federal level. But a lot of the states that are controlled by Republican governors decide they don't want that. They say it's going to hurt the economies that they are trying to build. One state, Washington State, within Seattle, they are talking about raising minimum wage incrementally up to about $15 an hour eventually. That's a big step. Some people think it's bad. Some people say it's good. You have a lot of high-tech companies in Seattle like Boeing that can afford to pay people real money because they're making real money. You got Microsoft right there in Seattle area that's also making real money, and they can afford to pay people real money. So, tell me what you think about that. Minimum wage, the government is seriously, according to the minister, is seriously going to commission some people together and get them to analyze and discuss and make some recommendation and bring hopefully an increase in our minimum wage. So I want to hear from you. When we come back from the break, though, is when I'll put the phone number up and you can call in and give me your take on that. So compose your thought, put it together, and let's have that discussion. Increase in minimum wage. Tell me what you think. Something big that was in the news just 2 weeks ago. Some of you probably heard the news. The economy is booming. The economy is booming, ladies and gentlemen. According to Miss Passin on NDP radio 2 Wednesdays ago, she said the economy is booming. I want to hear from you what you think, and she want to know what you think. She also said in the same talk that anyone who wants a job now can get a job. Go on out there to some of these construction sites and apply. So young people, mothers and fathers, if you got kids sitting around for the summer, they ain't doing nothing. Ms. Parson said the economy is booming. Booming. I didn't say it. I read it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But there's jobs available according to Ms. Parson. I do know there's a few contract work up in the eastern area. There's some sewage project going on up there. There's a building of a new wharf. We got some work down in Ballast Bay and Cane Bay. And we just had, finally, and I big up to the Premier, you listened to us for 2 years. We didn't sell the country out. We pretty much, did what we should have done. You went and you got yourself a loan, and you're offering BVI lenders an opportunity to invest in their own country. So big up to you, Mr. Premier. That's some leadership. People say you ain't got no leadership, but that's some leadership. I know it was hard for you to do, Mr. Premier. It took 2 years of this show. I was on it. I was one of those people out here beating you up on this whole cruise ship thing. So, and now we have $35 million. $35 million, ladies and gentlemen, to spend on developing our cruise project, our cruise ship pier. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Parson said the economy is booming. She used these type of opportunities to strengthen her point. She asked the Premier within the same conversation to qualify what she was saying, and the Premier himself reiterate that, is that with some of these construction projects, we all know, and I've been one of those people who advocated for construction projects as well. I believe in that. You know, I read in one talk where one politician said, the government doesn't print money and you can't just sit around and wait for the government to issue work. You got to try to figure out something for yourself. Well, guess what? On the other side of that, somebody else is saying, thank God for these construction work, these contracts, that people can actually get work. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Let's put two and two together. Most countries around the world, when the economy is bad, you got a lot, when you have limited foreign investment, and you have a country that's holding its own to some degree, the country itself has to find ways within the country to stimulate the economy. You stimulate the economy through infrastructure development, construction work, through, you know, buying and selling, trading among ourselves, shopping and buying at home. All of those things help. And when you have a booming construction economy, you have construction contractors that have enough employees. This is important as well. You want to make sure that those employers, those contractors, have people that they can help. And those people work, and they work hard, and then they go home and they spend that money back in the economy. So, say one and say two. Government have to do what they have to do. And you have to spend money in your country with your people to help generate economic activity in your own country. Without that, you're dead. If you don't have nothing coming from outside, then you got to create something from inside. So, minimum wage, the economy is booming. Last but not least, I'm going to put this out there just for your indulgence. Then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to be right back after that break. The last thing is, I want to hear some honest opinion from the folks out there. Honest opinion. Listen, we live in a community. We all know about this. You know, we all been here. Many of you who've been here over a certain amount of time expect by now you're given to the territory. You're a young person, you raised up in an educational system. You're an older person, you came here, you helped build the economy, you helped build yourself. Help build yourself. Let's not forget that. You've been a good citizen. At some point, you want to get something back. You were able to build a home. You want to create a business. You know, you had kids, you had a family, and your children now are at the point where you ain't going nowhere, they ain't going nowhere. They ain't necessarily born here, some of them, but you would like them to reap some kind of benefit. The minister recently went on a limb in Virgin Gorda, and he gave a scholarship to a graduating person up there, male or female, and he wanted to help. It became a little controversial because the young person is not a BV Islander. Fine. But he went out on a limb. According to the minister, yes, people beat him up on that because it's not a law, according to the minister. It's a policy that the system have in place that certain things, certain benefits should only benefit BV Islanders. But the minister wanted to help this youngster, or youngsters, you know, I think it was two of them. And some of us were a bit taken back by that. I want to know your take on that, because some of you out there watching, I know, in this situation. I heard some of the same people who are commenting on this situation saying they're pretty much in the same situation. They're not from here. They've been here longer than the person who receiving the help, and they haven't been able to receive any help. And they're asking the question whether or not the minister will extend the same kind of courtesy to their children when they graduate, if they graduate in a similar situation. So I just want to know, the question is simple, you know. Listen to the question. Do you think that you are entitled, or anyone else is entitled, given the reason that they use? Listen to the reason. You know, hey, the Premier just try to defend that same reason. We're in the same community. People are here long enough. They want to help, you know, build capacity within the educational system. It's just unfortunate that these youngsters are not BV Islander born, citizen raised, whatever. But, you know, the government felt compelled to help out a little bit. What is your take on that? So, 3 hot topics tonight. You can't tell me. Okay, I see 4 texts, no problem. You can't tell me that this ain't something we can't discuss. Let's discuss it. Again, I'm here right now. We're going to take a break. Courtney hopefully will be here when we get back. If not, it's you and I tonight. So let's have this conversation. 3 hot topics, all right? So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Say hello to the Digicel DL700, our newest best value Android smartphone with a 4-inch display, front-facing camera, and a 5-megapixel rear camera. It's perfect for snapping and sharing. Plus, it's super fast, so you can do more, play more, and share more. And choose to download from over 1 million apps available in the Google Play Store. The Digicel DL700, the latest addition to the Digicel Android smartphone range. Make the smart choice. Be extraordinary. Digicel.
All right, welcome back, guys. Again, 3 hot topics tonight. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. First one, minimum wage might be increasing. Who knows? We might see an increase in minimum wage. Phone numbers online, right up on screen. If you're somewhere foreign and you're watching us on the internet, or you want to watch it on the internet, go to jtvlive.net and hit Speak Your Mind. It's right there. So, minimum wage, let's talk about that for a minute. You know, the government talks about just recently and made a little announcement. He made it clear that it's not, you know, a campaign talk or a ploy. It's something real. It's something that it seemed like the government been discussing, you know, because people like yourself are out there. They know people are hurting. You're complaining to them as well. You're complaining to different people. You can hardly make it. It's hard. It's hard making it in this country on $4 an hour. Sometimes I wonder how people don't make it, man. You know, we got a lot of people in here who are pooling the resources together. You talk about $4, $5 an hour, 8-hour shift, that's $32 or $40, depending on, you know, whether it's 4 or 5. If you're in between, it's about anywhere between $32 and $40 a day. I mean, how can anybody really honestly live off that? I mean, that to me is crazy. That is crazy. So I'm glad that the government is really considering that. So I want to know what you think. Minimum wage increase, we might be looking at one. All I could say right now is might. If there's anything serious happening in that, we'll know. Definitely, you know, I'm going to be on top of that because I think that's great that people can get a little financial help. But again, you know, it's like the minister said, there's something to consider. We have to consider all of the elements in between, you know, because an increase in minimum wage does have a long-term effect, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be real about that. Understanding the dynamics of the BVI economy with the financial services sector in here, you got a lot of people who are invested in the BVI simply because it's cheap to do business. You want to speak your mind? Go ahead, please. Hi, good evening.
Sam, good evening, man.
Talk to me, brother.
Sam, I don't know if you ever look at it this way, man. For years, I've been sitting back and looking at kids come from the rest of the world and elsewhere, go into a pre-primary school, go into a primary school, come out secondary school, top of the list, and then we just said to them, hey, we don't have enough for you to have a trainer, maybe it's time for you to pack up the bundle and go. No. All those years of academic investment come from this country. So we don't think we need to get something back from those people? More specifically when they graduate at high level? That's serious research there. Those people are educated out of a public school system that people call down a lot and come top of their class, top of the school. I have 6 children. God bless me with 6 children. And they were fortunate to get scholarship because they work hard for it. And they achieve it. And they were able to go to university. Now when you work hard and you achieve, and you apply for something or you're given something, I think that's a good thing. And I'm simply saying that we cannot afford to have persons just use our system, benefit from it greatly to the highest level, and then just say, we don't have no interest in you, Take this for education and do what you want with it. We need something that. I just want to make that point for now.
Yeah, caller. Thank you so much. Any other point? I think I missed. He gone. Yeah, hey, great point. Great point. I got a solution for some of this headache. I think the government, and listen carefully, I think it was in 1986, 1987, or just before that in the United States. And I heard the talk just tonight. It's amazing. I think about these things and then I turn on CNN and there it is on CNN. I think the BVI should implement an amnesty. Qualified people who've been here for 15, 20 years, and this is for family and their kids, parents, mother, father, single people living in the BVI, who dedicated a long amount of time in the BVI. I would like to see an amnesty for those people. Immediately give them BVI rights. So there's no more of this back and forth. I hear the argument about work permit money and all them other stuff. I hear it. Listen to me out for a minute. And then your point of view I'll consider. I think there need to be an amnesty. We have amnesty for parents, man, woman who've been working, living in the BVI 15, 20 years, has been doing what he or she's supposed to be doing all this time. They've done all they could do. They build homes and build lives here. Give them BVI citizenship. I'm for that. Children who are in school, all of these kids who are same situation we're talking about, give them amnesty. So they become now BVI landers and we don't have to be fighting this argument about whether or not they're going to up and leave. Because a lot of those kids, if you give them the opportunity they've already cultivated into our society, they now become part of us. I agree with you, Carla. I am all for that. We got young people in this country who parents been here 28, 30 years. And these kids been here now 20 years with their parents, 25 years with their parents. And they want to open up a business. I think the system should find ways to help them, especially when the business idea is new and innovative. I think the Premier's office, all the way down, all the department should find ways to encourage and empower these young people. Especially, listen to me carefully, I think especially for Caribbean nationals, we should find ways to empower them so they could be part of who we are as a community. Because at the end of the day, if I have to choose between the guy from maybe Europe and the guy from the Caribbean, I personally believe Caribbean people are going to stick together and we're going to help and find ways to build one another and build capacity. No, I say that and say this at the same time. I think we still need to be careful. If you don't have a sort of an amnesty in place and you don't implement something, and you have laws on your books or policies on your books, the situation with the schools, to me, should be rectified. Because the system right now is burdened down. We're talking about we can't build schools. I just saw the report, the minister himself, he's trying, but he can't build school because we ain't got the money. But we got overcrowdedness in our schools. Half of the children who are in the schools shouldn't be in the public school, period. Let's be real about that. I just met a young lady the other day. I ain't gonna call out. She's a nurse, just came here. She's not really a nurse, but I'm gonna use that as an example. Just got here 2, 3, 4 months ago. Talking, having a nice conversation with her, because I'm trying to feel out and get the information. She says to me, in the next 3, 4 months, she plans to have her children in here. I thought the system had a policy that if you are not, say, a professional or person who can actually bear the cost of taking care of your family, you shouldn't be allowed to bring your children into the system, because it's become more of a burden. It's a burden socially, to our medical system, to our school system. It means now there's a compounding effect on supplies and demand. I'm not saying business ain't gonna survive or it shouldn't survive. I'm simply saying we gotta look at whether or not we as a territory can afford it. And if you're doing it for Sam, you have to do it for Sam's sister. You gotta do it for Sam's cousin. And just Sam's friends. When does it stop? So we gotta be careful. We gotta be careful. And somebody asked the question in relation to the scholarship situation. Will the minister extend the same courtesy to me and my kids if we're in the same situation? I doubt it, he says. It was a he. So, yeah, listen, I am all for people who decide the BVI is their home. They love the BVI. They want to make the best out of it. I think we should find a way to just move them from the illegal status, so to speak, for the lack of a better term. They're not illegal, but you understand what I'm saying, into a status where they have the same rights as the people who were born and raised here, and we don't have to have this discussion anymore. You want to speak your mind? Go ahead, please.
Sam, how are you doing?
I'm good. Talk to me.
Sam, this is a little of what you have on the list tonight, but
Okay.
I think I need to give it to you tonight.
It's all good.
Sam, our medical system here, I think the government is trying hard to bring it to a very high level. But I'm looking at one specific area that seemingly not much attention is being paid to, and is in relation to one's eyes. We have a local eye specialist here, and he can only do so much and no more.
Mm-hmm.
And even across there at Bougainville Clinic, Unico Clinic, Unico Hospital, they're doing all kind of surgery up there, even plastic surgery. But I am not hearing anyone seriously addressing the eyes. Right now, I mean, you might know, I don't know the extent of your situation, but you might know. Right now, if you have a serious eye problem, you have to fly out of here for you got to find the money.
Mm-hmm.
And fly out of here, I am not hearing anything in relation to the medical aspect of the eyes. I'm not hearing anybody addressing that.
Yeah.
When are we looking at exports coming in here? Are we making provision for exports to come in here so at least under the NHI we can address serious eye problem in this country just like we're addressing a lot of serious problems otherwise?
Yeah.
Are we doing that?
Well,
I'm not hearing anything.
Let me respond real quick while you're still on the phone. Since you are engaging fella. Since my situation, and I'm going to use myself as an example, because examples is the best teaching, right? So, my issue is retina. We have doctors close by, St. Thomas, other places, that do cataract, glaucoma, and so forth. But retina is a different situation. It takes a specialist or special person who specializes in medicine and eye care. So I had to go to Barbados. Recently, in the past 2 weeks, going on 3 weeks now, I actually went back to St. Kitts, found a guy in St. Kitts, Dr. Samuel Nisbet, who also specializes in deep care in eyes, but not retina. He does all of the poor stuff. Now, only putting them out there to say this, Carla. I have communicated with the people who can make a difference in this community, and I know for a fact that there are people who have submitted application to the government, past government and present government, to work hand in hand with them, to bring their own money, to bring their own technology, to do those things that we are now fighting to go off island and get done. No, I say that and say this. I understand we have, you have a general person at BNF. We have Mr. O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill doesn't do surgery, certain type of surgeries. So when people find themselves in a situation, Mr. O'Neill has to refer them to either Puerto Rico, United States, St. Thomas, or the people them have to go find their own way based on their needs. Now, I just spoke to a gentleman just yesterday, and the gentleman said to me when he went to Atlanta, Emory University, Emory Medical System, it's 3 different type of doctors that had to examine his eyes to get to the right conclusion so he can get the proper care. No, here's the problem we're facing in this country. If we don't get the right type of doctors in here, is that we're going to get diagnosed wrong. Some of us are going to end up blind right here in this country. And the system itself, I love the people who are here, and I'm all for BV Islanders first. I'm never going to go against that. But it come a point where the system, the government have to make a decision. If I give everything to Sam, do I get best value and best practice? Can I get the best of the best, or Sam going to monopolize on everything and all I am stuck with is Sam? You got a hospital along there. We got a hospital on there. Put it to use. You got some empty space. We got applications on file. Miss Baptiste at the hospital. Mr. John Klein, you know the information. You know it's there. Let's start doing what needs to be done. Carla, eye care is being neglected in this country for a long time. And I tell anybody, anytime you see the first issue with your eyes and you don't trust what's happening here, find some care somewhere else. Because right now I don't see any hope. I don't see any future in it right now. I see a lot of bureaucracy. I see a lot of hold up. We got a guy right there in St. Thomas, American trained, does everything you can think of. And I understand he's one of the people that have application in the hospital system right here. Application in with the government. He can rent space, bring his own equipment, perform all of the care that we need, and government could now negotiate with him to make some of that same money that we would have paid to go off island and join that with the NHI. So, no, you and I should advocate. Every time we see, we got 2 doctors in government, every time we see those 2 doctors, we should challenge them. They're smart people, very smart. Dr. Smith is a smart surgeon, I understand. Dr. Pickering, a lot of women go to Dr. Pickering for their female care, and a lot of them come up with good results. They're smart people, so let's push them. Let's push the umbrella. And eye care, you're right, is being neglected. Big time in this country. Big time.
But Sammy, it's disappointing to hear that you're saying that there is a guy just next door, St. Thomas, had application to come in here. We're going under the NHI right now. And if we can bring this guy in here under the NHI, you know how many people will be helped professionally?
Carla, I can put him out there. His name is Billy Bisco. Dr. Billy Bisco. He's in, I think, Nisbet Center in St. Thomas. I know there's another doctor down there where a lot of our people get referred to. He doesn't do half of the work that Billy Bisco does. Bisco deals with retina. He deals with all those issues that connect to your nerve, to your eyeball, to your brain. In addition to the cataract, in addition to all the other stuff. The government knows. They know this guy. They know him very well. And he's willing to come up here and do what needs to be done. He has a very successful practice in St. Thomas. He's one of them, and I know there's others too. I know there's others. So I'm saying to you, we're not going to kill our locals. We're not going to take anything away from them. They're doing their part. But we need extra help. We need certain type of expertise in this country. And we don't need to be bringing a doctor over once a week if we have somebody that's willing to set up shop here, under the system, under the government, lease a space, bring their own money, bring their own equipment, bring their own information and technology, and help us get better care. And I tell you something, we better act quick. There was a time when you had maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 dialysis machine. Now I think we got 7, 8, 9, 10. Somebody will call me and give me the right or correct number. That means there's an increased need. That means there's enough people in the country who are having issues with the eye because of diabetes or high blood pressure, hypertension, the whole 9. We need it. So yes, the guy is right next door. Miss Baptiste knows him very well.
So let me ask you, what do you think is the reason?
Politics.
Why they're not allowing this guy to come in?
Politics. Everybody knows that. Politics. Again, let me be clear. My disclaimer is I'm all for BV Islanders. All for BV Islanders first. There's sometimes, and when I say all for BV Islanders, no, here's the complex. We have BV Islanders who might probably want this guy or other people to come under them and want to do their own thing. I think the government should allow them to do that as well. They could seek relationship with other professionals and bring them in under them. The government also now is competing, will be competing, and is competing with the hospital system with private providers. So therefore now the government should have the authority. The government should have that authority to bring people in under them to provide that balance. Because we're in a system where we don't have choice. If we don't have proper choice, we can't have proper care. We can't have a choice between who we go. So it's our politics. Hopefully it'll iron itself out.
Well, my brother, but we cannot play politics in people's lives, my brother.
Carla, all I can tell you is this personal story. Up until 3 weeks ago, I had an issue with, I just came back from getting the oil removed from my left eye. Oil that I had in there for over a year in 2 months, 14 months, and it had to come out. People around the territory helped me out because the insurance was giving me a bit of a stretch. I didn't have the funds. Government said it was strapped. They couldn't help me out. No problem. I got enough funds to deal with one eye. I had to go back to Barbados and deal with that. When I came back less than a week, I started feeling a difference in my care. Went to the doctor here at BNF. She did her best. She's not as technical as needs to be, but she thought she saw something was a bit troubling to me. After communicating with the same guy in St. Thomas, my doctor in Barbados, and didn't have the funds to go back to Barbados, I found a guy in St. Kitts, Dr. Samuel Nisbet. Called him up, looked up his bio. He was trained in Canada. He does all the stuff down there. And I want to say this though, he's having the same challenge that we're having here in St. Kitts. A Kittitian, born Kittitian, just moved back, got all the professional, technical experience, having trouble setting up a proper care service in St. Kitts. St. Kitts government is working hand in hand with Cuba to provide eye care when they have their own. So, same challenge in St. Kitts, but this guy is doing his best. And I went to him, and he did, what he did was amazing. And he said to me, he said, Henry, don't worry, everything's fine. The doctor in told her she did her best, but what she saw ain't exactly what's happening. Everything good. So I'm saying there's options, right? But I had to go to St. Kitts for it because I couldn't go back to Barbados. So I went to St. Kitts. I should have been able to do that right here. I shouldn't have to go St. Kitts. I shouldn't have to go on a boat to St. Thomas. I shouldn't have to go to Barbados. We should get it done here. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, Carla, we're going to take a quick break. Call us back. We got other topics online. Minimum wage, eye care. We have the economy is booming. Someone recently said the economy is booming. Anybody who wants a job can get a job. I want to get your take on that. So hit us back after the break, okay?
Say hello to the Digicel DL700, our newest best value Android smartphone with a 4-inch display, front-facing camera, and a 5-megapixel rear camera. It's perfect for snapping and sharing. Plus, it's super fast, so you can do more, play more, and share more. And choose to download from over 1 million apps available in the Google Play Store. The Digicel DL700, the latest addition to the Digicel Android smartphone range. Make the smart choice. Be extraordinary. Digicel.
welcome back again. So my good friend Courtney's here with me. Again, we're talking about, you know, well, my you know, pieces is scholarship. How you feel? I see a number of texts come in on that. You guys are real strong in your position. Even some of you who are not from the BVI. You know, the number one thing I'm hearing is that, you know, it should belong to BVI landlords. That's what people are saying. If people, you know, are getting a free handout, one person said is getting a free handout by, you know, the system allowing them to put their kids in public school. At the end of the day, you should be able to now save enough money to send your child further on. I'm going to hold my comment on that. You know, again, I just think that we should be careful regardless of what we do. We don't want to open up the floodgate. And I think we open up the floodgate in many respects already. Minimum wage. The Minister for Natural Resources and Labor just made a statement at a community meeting with some of the other government officials talking about maybe examining the minimum wage and raising that. So a lot of you who are out there who have been fighting for years on minimum wage situation, it might be coming. And jobs, 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 jobs. The economy is booming. Ms. Parson said it herself. She said the economy is booming. Premier said there was a number of jobs and opportunity in the construction field. In East End, there's a major, 1, 2, 3, I think there's about 3 major contracts going on up there. So young people, you out for the summer. Miss Parson said, if you don't get a job because you don't want one. So go up there, apply for this work. There's something to do. There's some summer money to be made. You need that money, go make it. She said the economy is booming. So if you think it's booming, share your point of view on that. You know, again, I highlight that we have projects over in Ballast Bay, Cane Bay. I think I just saw one finish up on the Cane Garden Bay Road. And there's 2 more projects going on Ballast Bay. I'm sure those guys might be looking for some flaggers, people just to hold, you know, maybe shovel some stuff aside. It's small money, but guess what? It's money nonetheless. And the more people we can make, have out there employed, making a little bit of money, it goes back into the economy. It's good for the economy. So the economy is booming. What's your take on that? Courtney, what's your take on the whole situation?
Well, Sam, first of all, I have to say good night to our viewers out there. And I took a long journey coming here via St. Thomas, but it was still good. And and the ferry system is working. I guess it probably still needs a bit of tweaking, but it's still working, and you could still travel. Although some people may say, you know, it's a little difficult, and if you watch the traffic, you could see that a lot of people are moving for the summer, so that's good. And we do expect a lot more with the 60th anniversary, people coming in. I understand a lot of people are planning to come from the New York, Boston area. So if that is true, we might as well brace ourselves and prepare for, you know, for a lot of people coming to the territory.
Prepare for the rush.
Prepare for the rush. And ladies and gentlemen, if you know what I'm talking about, the route of coming through St. Thomas, taking a taxi to the ferry boat, whether in town or at Red Hook, and coming to Tortola, try your best and make sure you get there on time, because it's tight. It's really tight. It's so tight you could miss the boat. And Sam, if you miss the boat, you know, it's likely you may not make it on the last boat, because shoppers are there doing their thing as well. So, you know, encourage the people to try and make it work. We know the schedules of when the various airlines get into St. Thomas already. We know when JetBlue, we know when American Airlines, we know when USA, we know when all those airlines land in St. Thomas. So everything else should work around that from my perspective. However, I'm only just one of the small, insignificant individuals who talk on a show called Speak Your Mind, you know?
Yeah.
We have more powerful people who, you know a lot of things and can do a lot of things. I hope I'm speaking the truth in that instance there, Sam. Sam, it look like we have a text. Let's see what the people out there are saying. You know, it's always important to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Minimum wage needs to be different for different establishment. They have to remember the small businesses that they might not be able to afford to pay more. Okay.
Good point. Good point.
That's a point, but there's another side to that says that if you take care of the needs of an employee, more than likely that employee would be
give
more
back.
contented and would also work more efficiently and be more productive for the organization.
Yeah.
Now there are some people who think that that the big business or the business side of it is to be productive and to get as much out of your employees as you could get. But there are some other people that say, if you have a contented employee, a person who feels good about his job, feel he's making an honest day's pay, feel he can support his family, think he can go to the movie and do a couple of other things out of his salary, and go to the grocery store and purchase the high cost of bare necessities in our society, then that person goes to work on time, does a good job, and is very supportive of the company that affords that opportunity. So, all that said, we must be also mindful of the increases in our area so far. We've seen increases in the United States. We've seen increases in Haiti. We've seen increases in the UK. So, I think we have to be conscious that if you're going to give a worker a fighting chance, he at least have to be able to meet the bare minimum for his family.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that whatever group gets together and start talking about a minimum wage, that is one of the things that they must bear in mind. That we live in a tourist-oriented society. We do a lot of things to promote tourism, and as a result of that, the cost of living or the cost of survival, I would like to say, in this society is really based on this same tourism society that we live in, and it could be very difficult for some people to meet that unless they have some sort of a minimum. And I agree with the person that texts though. The minimum doesn't mean that everybody have to get paid at the minimum. The minimum means that there are some people in the society who should not fall below that minimum. That's it, just that. They should not fall below that minimum. If we have 10,000 workers, I think there may be like about 2,000 to 3,000 workers who should not fall below that minimum. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Everybody else would have to fall in above that, not below.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the people who go down supporting an increase in the minimum wage.
Yeah. I think it's necessary.
To the point where if you have a small business and you have to restructure your business, maybe you have to restructure your business. Maybe you have too many people on the top making too much money. No, that's a serious thing. If you have two top executives and their take home is let's just throw some numbers around. If they're taking home 50,000, and you have 25 other people working and they're taking home below the minimum wage, which is $4 right now, something is wrong with your company.
Yeah.
And while we're on that topic, why are some of these companies, some of these corporations not selling shares to the employees? I mean, that's the best way to get employees to buy into your company, by offering them shares. Because then put them to invest in the company. That way they become a part owner of the company. And and if they see the water running, they turn it off. And if they see wastage, they point it out to top management. But if I see a bag of cement bus on the side, boss, that's yours, not mine.
That's a company loss.
That's a company loss. But if I'm a shareholder, that's my loss. That's our loss.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
but there's a number of companies doing that throughout the United States.
Worldwide.
Sell shares in a company.
And Sam, I don't know if you know, but we had that same situation here in the past, here in the Virgin Islands, right in Longbush, right in where they make electricity.
Okay.
We had that already here in the system.
Okay.
So I'm sure there are other people here who know about that and can, we don't have to reinvent it. Just do it.
Yeah. It's a good plan. It's a good plan.
But I think
I'm all for the increase, man. I think a lot of people here are suffering.
I think it will make much better working conditions for people in the territory. I think so. I think it will cut down on the persons having to work 2-3 jobs to try to make ends meet, and then all the social ills that result as a result of that. You're leaving your family to be, you know, to try to earn enough to put bread on the table. But what happens when that happens? You know, somebody is probably not there to pick up the slack, etc. And then the social ills start to show its ugly faces in the territory, and we know what we're talking about because we see the court cases all the time. You know, so we have another text, Sam. Let's see what the good people of these Virgin Islands are saying about this. We need a labor union in this present time. Whoever sent that text, I support you 100%. If you want to go ahead and be the leader of the labor union, go right ahead and organize it, my friend. You have at least how many work permit holders we have?
A lot.
A lot. At least all of them should, in my opinion, be members of the labor union, because labor is about workers, and if a labor union is about workers, and if you have a strong workforce, or if you have a strong a lot of people subscribing to a union and they're in the workforce, you can move. Well, you only have to look at what happened in the Caribbean over the past years as far as labor unions are concerned, and you see that it's a very powerful avenue to pursue.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
From all the way back in the days of Bustamante and people like that, there were very strong labor movements in the Caribbean. So there are a lot of good examples to follow. We got a call, Sam. Yeah. Good evening. You have reached Speak Your Mind. Go ahead, please. Good evening.
Yes.
Yes, you're live on Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead.
How are you, sir?
Well, I'm fine. Sam, and you?
Yeah, I'm great. Talk to us.
Okay. I'm calling from the 9th district. I want to make that known.
Okay.
And I want to know the 9th district still remain a part of the Virgin Islands government.
Okay. I don't think there's any disagreement with that.
Okay. Now, I have 2 points to make. Sam done looking at it already. He wants to shout at me always now. However, I have 2 points that I really want to make tonight. One is relative to the Sweet Department. That's in the Ministry of Communication and Work, I think. Now, the ministry is visible in the district now, preparing for the roadways. But however, I have a disappointing observation to make. I visited the Water and Sewage Department at Handsome Bay.
Okay.
You know, I see these guys, the workers, sitting outside on the bench most of the day. So I want to know why. Why gone there, visit the institution, and what I saw was very disappointed. I want to know how our representatives, the Ministry of Communication and Work, could sit in his nice air-conditioned office and see the deplorable working condition that the brothers in Virgin Islands have to deal with. And it's not only the condition, but it is the way the department is handled, the way it is run. They have a facility there next to the seaside with 2 containers that are totally rusted. There's a wooden warehouse. It is in deplorable condition. Parts and fittings all over, rusted. And these things should be inventoried. Anyhow, the main issue is I could stay inside the building and watch the roof outside to see whether there are rain clouds or what. When it rains, the guys can't stay in there. You understand me? This to me is very disappointing because our people like to pay bills and what they like to rush and pay their water bills. And it is not fair to the few brothers who work there who have to sit outside under a tree because of the deplorable conditions at their base. This thing is deplorable and it needs to be moved. I would need to understand that the minister made a visit there and decided that in 1 month time he'd have the situation rectified. It is still the same.
But
It is still the same. It is very different. We are urging the minister while he's doing all his fancy preparations for his road work to go over there and do something and help the brothers at the department, make them comfortable. Our office is under a tree. The supervisor cannot sit in his office when it is raining. This is not healthy. I've never district representative and he seems to be quiet. I don't know if you ever visit the area, but I did. And I see my people hurt, and I have to comment on it. Another thing, the economics of the department on the island is bad. They have a literally brand new backhoe packed on their compound that needs a radiator alone, and they're paying humongous rental fees for equipment to do their regular maintenance work. This is not economical, and I'm appealing to the minister and his soldiers, his people out there. Employ good economics. Spend 2,000 on the back, fix it up, and not spend 40,000 in rentals. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. These are simple things that can be rectified. A brand new backhoe that you need in a radiator is packed for months and months and months. Doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Minister. I call it on you. The same way you're planning for a highway that we may never see in 5, 6, 7 years. The same way to look at these small issues that will enhance the activities of the department. Look at these brothers that sit on the tree. They have to wait on the tree for the instructions from the supervisor. This is not good.
Well, Carla, I know you're a good contractor yourself, right? Why don't you turn this around? Why don't you just? We know that a good trailer or even a container that could replace the ones out there, maybe $4,000 each. Say $8,000, you could get 2 of them. Make a proposal to put 2 of them on the site during the week. Give it to them and let's use a proactive approach.
Yes, sir, and that I have done on several occasions. Just like how the salaries department, when I raised the point, the minister immediately got a trainer down in the government administration building. Why can't Martin Sewage do the same? I raised the questions, I raised the issues, however, it's falling on deaf ears. The minister, the honorable minister visited there, and he sat down in a chair and said, wow, something will be done within a month. It's about 4 months have passed now and nothing is done. This is deplorable. It's not good. Anyway, I don't want to listen to you on one point alone. My next issue again is still within the same ministry. Mr. Vanderpool, you need to look at what's going on. The ministry now comes to Virgin Ladder and install 14 new hills. 14 new hills on the road, on the highways, wherever they are. And the roads are in deplorable condition. They have
when you say a hill, what do you mean? A hill or a mountain?
A speed bump, Mr. De Castro. That's what we call them now, the hills of Virgin Ladder.
Okay, my brother.
It is disgusting. They have about 5 or 6 speed bumps on the road to the baths. Now this is the low tourist season, so the safaris aren't running up and down full speed.
I don't know what you have heard, but I heard that the reason why we have so many speed bumps on all the islands is because there's some reckless people driving and the police can't deal with the issue. So if they put up some speed bumps...
Excuse me, I beg to interrupt. I beg to interrupt. I beg to interrupt. It's not that the police can't deal with it, that they are not dealing with it. Rather than get out there and be a presence, they're only waiting to go up in the hills behind the young men them. This can be rectified easily. It's an attitude adjustment necessary. And with the presence of policemen, this can be changed. There's no traffic on the road at the bats now, very little. Why do you put 5, 6 speed bumps there? It's not necessary now. We need to repair the surfaces of the road first, and then carefully and strategically place these things. You don't need 16, 17, and I understand that the department is happy about it and bragging that we're going to slow down the drivers more by putting more hills and valleys in. This is a nonsensical approach, and it is not the way to change the attitude.
All right, Carl, I take your point. I take your point, and as usual, we have some other callers backing up right behind
Yes,
you.
sure. So I beg my excuse. And I think I've made my point well.
But thank you for bringing us some vital information about what's happening on one of our sister islands as we strive to not only be a talk show for Tortola, but from Anegada to Josh Van Dyke.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, my
Thank
brother.
you very much. Yes.
Sam, it seems like we have to pay a little bit more attention to what's happening up on Virgin Gorda because it seems like it's getting hot up there. Good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah. Can you record me, please?
Yeah, I write on right here. Go right ahead.
Hey, Courtney, how are you?
I ain't doing too bad, man. How about you? I ain't here in a while.
I still wrong, give God thanks.
What do you mean by that?
I giving God thanks every minute.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what you say. Okay, good. That's a good thing to do, you know, always, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, are you okay?
Yeah, cuz, how you saying?
Why is you here?
I ain't hear your voice in about 6 months, but I know that voice from a mile away. Stop listening to the TV. Talk to us.
Talk to us, man.
Okay, okay. It was interesting when the talk was minimum wage. I was wondering what you suggest would be a good minimum wage. What your suggestion? What are you thinking of?
Well, I've read online that we haven't raised the minimum wage here in almost 20 years. I don't know if that's true. You know, I think we some past 10 years now going with the $4 an hour. And if you remember, at one point we used to consider a thing called COLA. You remember that? Cost of living allowance.
Cost of living allowance.
Right. And usually that was tied to what? The cost of living index, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the cost of living index must have moved a couple of points in the 10 years. You agree?
Yeah, I agree.
So I would suggest that we use that same index and adjust the $4 by the index.
Well, I wasn't going to ask you that detail.
Okay, but for example, I know you want to hear a figure. For example, if the index moved by 3 points and it was $4, 4 3s is 12.
Well, I personally thinking
Sorry?
nobody should be doing under $6 an hour.
Yeah, but
From 4 to 6.
you're not doing the maths. And then when you have to move it again, what would you use to move it again? It is not something that is supposed to be stagnant, you know. It might have been stagnant for 10 years, but it's not something that should be stagnant. It should be adjusted based on the cost of living. And that way maybe we wouldn't have such a drastic rise in the cost of living in the future.
Right now, I personally feel they should take up $2 more per hour.
Based on what?
$2 each. Nobody should be giving us $6.
But
That's $4 real.
But based on what?
What I do is this is cost of living.
And- Well, I have
You know, that's my opinion.
I know it's just your opinion, but I was just saying that I think that are you aware that we had a raise in the Social Security contributions from January this year? You're aware of that, right?
Yes, that's it, yeah.
You know that was raised based on what? On the same index?
I will believe it.
It was. So if everything else is being raised on the index, why are salaries not also raised by the index? It makes common sense to me. We can't continue to have corporations here working people for next to nothing and bragging about high profits every year. That's nonsense.
Referring to the people at the bottom, where they're giving $4, which I feel is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And we know the companies who are paying $4 because they also have to pay taxes and they put down how much they pay the employees.
I mean, I don't want to sleep and do it. That you hear that. When after this cost, for living in the good supermarket, we still do about $4 an hour. And to go along with that,
yes.
sometimes the person only gets 8 hours. We just $32 a day. What are we doing?
Man, I know that now you're talking like yourself now. I
You
agree with
don't get 8 hours.
Now you're talking like yourself.
They give you 5 hours.
They give them.
Somebody working hard and they give you $20. For a week, you're going to hold $100.
Yeah.
What are they encouraging you to do?
To steal. Or go do something illegal.
I don't want to say what only that is what we're doing. How will they survive?
We're setting our people up to fail.
Children to support.
Exactly.
And you're giving $100 when a week.
Yeah.
It's on a student fees.
Yeah. Well, Carla, that's why we're talking about these issues, you know, because we want to sensitize the public, the entire public, to the problem. It is a problem.
It is a major problem right now.
Yeah. And we have to.
I was surprised that when we were ready. And then it should not give me the $4.
Yeah.
But Carla, I say something, right? I'm gonna go on record and I'm gonna say something. I got a funny feeling that the minimum wage probably will go up based on whatever metric they use. But I also believe that the government might also implement a higher tax bracket for many of us. Because I remember hearing some talk that several times that the tax rate here in the BVI, it is low. And it's very low compared to a lot of other developing countries and developed countries. So I got a hunch that it's one way of saying, yeah, you making more money now. The tax rate or the tax bracket that you pay could be increased as well. Because, you know, it's all about revenue earning now. There's a lot of different measures or things that are being taken into consideration right now under the current administration to help increase revenue. Some I really support and some I think we need to maybe look at it a little bit more. So people should be aware of that as well. That
which government you have. Is that a rich government you have? You have to have increase.
Yeah.
So let the country cost money.
Yeah, definitely.
That's true, Carla. But I'm one of those people who also feel that if you campaign on raising taxes, go and you get elected, go right ahead and do it. But if you did not campaign on raising taxes, don't bring it after you already win, saying that everything gonna be fine.
But you have to know when they say they're not gonna raise taxes. You know that realize how will the country run?
How the country will run? The country will run when people like yourself and myself pay taxes that are already in existence. They don't have no pot of gold there for any one politician or any one government to go and start spending. The money don't come in every month. You know that too. So it ain't there. It's not. The money isn't there. The money is earned over the months.
Anyhow, I doesn't feel like chanting that one word.
Okay.
Before I get in trouble in my mouth.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your contribution.
Right.
All right.
Courtney, that's a surprise call.
That's a surprise call.
I can't ever remember hearing that caller before.
In a while. Yeah,
So
yeah. We got a couple of texts there that we try and catch up with them though. 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay. We need a labor union in this present time. That's another person who's saying that, and which is, I guess, was a question about pirates using the island of Tortola as a lookout point. In which territory? It said was a question about pirates using the island of Tortola as a lookout point. In which territory? I would have to go look to see what that's all about. Good night. I'm disappointed about the fact that we know so much about America and they don't know anything about the British Virgin Islands. Just the other night, Okay, so I guess that's a continuation. Just the other night there was a question about pirates using the island of Tortola as a local point in which territory. I don't know the answer to it either. Children need food to eat. Fathers, put money in, please. We want a bright future. That's a good text there to the fathers. I'm very disappointed that we know so much about America and they don't know about the BVI. Just the other night, there was a question on a game show, Jeopardy, about which territory is Tortola located. One contestant answered the Bahamas, the other one answered the Antilles. The third didn't answer. Then the game show host answered the British Virgin Islands. The government under the signed a berthing agreement with an American cruise line and a tax agreement with America. How can we advertise the British Virgin Islands more in America and other Caribbean countries to attract tourists? Man, that's an excellent text. That's an excellent text. Why will a person leave his or her country to work for minimum wage? Obviously, that person didn't understand the minimum wage issue. Raising minimum wage is useless if there is no system in place to control prices, therefore consumer affairs. They all go together, my brother or my sister. You raise tax only when necessary. I work in by water and they only supplying drinking water with no ice. And we complain about it. They say the labor code says to provide only water. I want to know if this is right. Me too. Tell Sam stop trying to scare people about government trying to raise taxes. If the minimum rate goes up, hey, without the minimum wage going up, taxes already gone up. We're paying more for a lot of things. We're paying more for work permit. We're paying more for traveling. We're paying more for a number of things. So don't. It's not just the minimum wage, but we all know that we're seeing an increase in taxes, and I continue to say, based on the fact that we never heard about it before during an election, but we're experiencing it during the 4-year term. So, ladies and gentlemen, we asked to take a break for the sponsors that make the show possible. So we're going to take a break and we're going to be right back with you.
Say hello to the Digicel DL700, our newest best value Android smartphone with a 4-inch display, front-facing camera, and a 5-megapixel rear camera. It's perfect for snapping and sharing. Plus, it's super fast, so you can do more, play more, and share more. And choose to download from over 1 million apps available in the Google Play Store. The Digicel DL700, the latest addition to the Digicel Android smartphone range. Make the smart choice. Be extraordinary. Digicel.
Minimum wage, should it increase? And how much should it go up to? Based on your understanding, the minister said he's going to put together some people to examine business leaders, business owners, community leaders, and hopefully yourself. So
hold that thought, Sam. We have a caller. Good evening. You're re-speaking mine. Go right ahead, please. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, you're live. Go right ahead, please.
Okay, good evening, Courtney.
Good evening.
On your issue with the labor union,
Yes.
it's a good idea, but I don't see how we can work unless you can separate the three entities, the labor department, the employers, and the employees. Because without those three operating in a separate, independent function, you won't have protection for the employees, because a lot of the employees are hired by the employers, and they'll always find some way or some reason to discourage any way that they claim that the employer is doing something wrong.
But wait a minute, because I am under the impression that we have the separation already. So you're gonna have to tell me how we don't have that separation. Because even if you look at the 2010 labor code, it speaks to persons within an organization representing other employees, etc., and it gives that person protection and all of that. So I don't think, I'm not an expert in this area, but I think there's enough framework in existence for this thing to happen immediately.
You look at my scenario. I'm hired by an employer. He brings me into work. And now I'm engaging in union activity. He'll find a reason to say I'm not performing up to standard or something to release me.
But there's a steward. You're going to have a steward on the job.
But the steward is not going to be in the presence of all the infractions. But now listen to my other scenario. Suppose we had employment agencies that bring in the workers.
We have that in some
employers can only get workers from the agency.
We have that in some instances here, you know.
We do have it?
Yes.
No, but you need it in more instance for the protection. Because as long as these two departments, any of these three departments are attached to each other, it becomes cumbersome for any of them to do their job. They have to function independently so they can have no repercussion from any other agency.
Well, the system is there. We are just not working the system. I think so. But I'll give you a scenario similar to what you're describing that could show you that what you're suggesting could also be problematic. Where you have agencies sending persons to work, and those agencies having agreements with the same employer.
Well, the government could always find a way to bond or to put some kind of certification for those agencies.
Oh, but that's not happening right now. But
no,
I see a point. It will help.
In order to form a strong labor union, you need a protection. The key
you're correct. You need a protection.
Protection. And if you can't guarantee workers protection, it's going to be hard to get them to subscribe to any membership in any union.
I thought you were going to raise the other point, which is that a lot of persons are on work permit, and there would be, some of them might be reluctant to joining because of the fact that they may be singled out as permit holders.
That's making my point.
Yeah.
Unless you have a method where they can be individually singled out, it's hard.
Yep, but it's usually not easy, but with some organizing and with some external help. There are a number of external trade union organizations that can be very helpful.
Well, what I think is it's a good idea, but I think they need to look at all alternatives and all possibilities before they go forward with it. Thanks for taking the call, Courtney.
All right, thank you. Thank you for calling, as usual. Yeah, yes, Sam. I think it's something that maybe is not as difficult as some may think it is, but it's something that could be organized. We have a couple of texts that came in. One of them says, Sam, can you please give me the name of a doctor in St. Kitts? That's someone asking specifically from you, Sam. Mr. Sam, when a cow don't have any more milk to give, the only thing left is blood. I respect your position, but I don't subscribe to it. I'm not sure which position they're talking about, Sam, but thank you. Okay. That's it, Sam. You have to go name of the doctor.
Dr. Samuel Nisbet in St. Kitts. When we, hopefully before we leave, I'll give you a phone number, but he's real easy to find. It's called Eye Care something in St. Kitts. Real easy to find. Good guy. Real smart. Older gentleman in his 60s. Practice in Canada. Real good. If you have any time of major surgery on your eyes and you need a good doctor to follow up, the guy is very thorough. He keeps track. He knows a lot about eye care and eye procedures and what needs to happen and what should be happening if you're experiencing issues. Dr. Samuel Nisbet. I'll have a phone number for you before the show is done. I'll come back when the camera finally goes off. I'll check my phone and I'll have that number for you if you really want that number, right? So just stay tuned.
You know, Sam, you're reminding me of something that I try to push every now and again when I get an opportunity to do so, and that is the freedom of movement of people in the Caribbean. And it speaks to that same issue you're talking about with a good doctor. If we had a directory of all the service-oriented people in the Caribbean, where you could call on someone from any country in the Caribbean and get them to work in another country in the Caribbean, we would be able to exclude all those foreign persons that come here seeking work under the guise of providing a service that we don't have. Because I am convinced that if you check from Bahamas all the way down to Guyana, we probably have professional people in every area that we would need. And we fail to make that connection initially before going external to seek help or to seek assistance. What's your take on that?
No, I agree, Courtney.
Yeah.
I just think at this time, the BVI being such a advanced society, financial services, cutting edge technology, we pretty much supposed to have everything now. I mean, people could do all kind of things now when it comes to establishing businesses and doing multi-million-dollar transactions right here in the BVI without even having to come to the BVI. But we still have fighting this argument about proper eye care and accessing real good doctors and so forth. I agree. I don't support the movement of people in some respect, but I support professional level people such as that. Doctors,
but that's what it is all about.
That's what I'm saying. I do support that specific type of movement. Doctors, people that work in agriculture that could come to the BVI, lend some hand in agriculture, for example, will train and educate all local farmers on greenhouse production, whatever. Or in doctor situation, you have doctors that could come here 2 weeks at a time and perform. And Courtney, you brought that up, and I'm glad you did. My doctor in Barbados have made contact over 2 years now with Dr. Potter, and I'm call his name, Dr. Potter, the Chief Medical Officer, and the Ministry of Health, Mr. Ronnie Skelton, office, and the PS, because I gave them personally the information. And Dr. Potter has visited my doctor in Barbados, who was trying to come to the BVI to do the same thing you're talking about. Come, visit, offer some clinics to people who are here in the territory that needs that type of service. What happened? I don't know. I can't speak to that. I know for a fact, Courtney, there's a guy in St. Thomas right now that wants to come to the BVI and offer clinic services to the territory. What is the problem? I don't know. I spoke to the gentleman myself. He knows Ms. Baptiste in the hospital system. He knows Mr. Klein, and he have spoken with Ms. Baptiste, and they asked him to send them a proposal again, and he did. So why we don't have people coming to our territory and visiting the territory and so forth, I don't know. If you could read that number, 869-465-0152. Write that number down. I'll put it up again before the show's done. Dr. Samuel Nisbet. He's in St. Kitts, right there. St. Kitts is a short flight. It ain't St. Thomas, but it's a short flight. Again, if you're having issues here or you don't know where else to turn, people who wants to go to St. Martin, I understand there's a doctor in St. Martin as well that does cataract and glaucoma and so forth. But I spoke to that office just this past Tuesday. It's on the French side, bit difficult to deal with, but if you're having issues beyond cataract and glaucoma, you need to go see this guy or go to see my doctor in Barbados or go wherever else you could find a good medical doctor that deals with eyes. All right?
Sam, I got two more texts here. Let me see what the Virgin Island people are saying. It says, on the minimum wage topic, how we all think the businesses are going to react to the wage increase? Will they fire people or charge more money to cover the, but I guess to cover the cost?
I think Courtney gonna fire some of the top executive, allocate and free up some funds to allow the lower workers to make money, pay them better wages, and get better productivity out of them, and then become a more profitable business.
And they may even offer some shares to some of the employees. Another text came in. I believe that's what's going to happen. How the government plan to deal with it? Okay, well, your guess is just as good as mine, because I don't believe that we could continue treating people in an inhumane way that we do, and continue to think that life is good and dandy. I think it's about time we wake up and start being real. You know, be a bit more humane and be a bit more conscious of what we're doing when we say we're doing business. Business is not a joke. Business is a science, and it has a lot of good attributes about it. The people who are in business for a long time can attest to all kind of stories. One of my mentors, Mr. O'Neill, used to tell me stories about business that he went through, and some of it was amazing stuff. So, you know, business is a lifelong thing that has many assets to it, but disenfranchising people and keeping people down is not. I don't think that's a good side of business that we should be promoting in a territory.
I think people need to be paid better. Period.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, business will find a way. A real business gonna find a way
of working
to
around,
work around that.
Working around. They're gonna see it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
To improve their business.
Yeah. And I do think when the minister put the people in place to help examine the whole dynamics of increasing the minimum wage, I think a lot of things are gonna be up for consideration. So how they gonna deal with it? You know, you get business leaders and business owners involved in the conversation, and they'll tell you how they're going to deal with it. You get community people involved. You get people like myself. Of course, they ain't going to put me on the committee, but if they did, you get people like me involved who have, you know, a good sense of what's right and what's wrong. I think I do. I like to think I do, and I believe I do. So therefore, we can all offer, you know, viable, good suggestions for what needs to be done. So it needs to be done. Check that number out for those of you who are asking for it. Eye guy in St. Kitts, Dr. Samuel Nisbet, real good dude, highly trained in Canada in all the eye care procedures and post-surgery care. Real good, real sharp dude. He talks a lot. He likes to talk, so don't feel no way, don't feel threatened. Call him up. He likes to talk to people. As a matter of fact, somebody well-known right here in the territory just went down there to see him. Hopefully, he'll have a better result, because this guy been going through a lot more than I have. You know, he's actually blind, and but you know, still some procedures that could be done to help him out. So, you know, ladies and gentlemen, we all got to advocate. You know, first caller Courtney said about talk to, and I'm gonna do my little closing right now since they asked us to close out.
Okay.
The first caller called and talked about. You know, there seemed to be a lot of push about health care. We got knee care, knee care, heart care. You know, we got full body care. We got all kinds of care, but we don't see any advocacy for eye care. We don't see any strong push. We have Dr. O'Neill, which I think is a decent, okay guy. I have my mixed reviews on Dr. O'Neill as well. We have a young lady that come over to BNF twice a week. She's not a full ophthalmologist, so you're getting some follow-up, you're getting some you know, examination, but you're not getting the intimacy that you need when it relates to real issues that you're experiencing, because she can't give you the right answer. So therefore, we're stuck, and we got people who are trying to get into the system and work hand in hand with the system, and right now I understand there's a lot of blockage. So whatever it is, whatever politics is going on, cut it out. Dr. Premier, Dr. Smith, somebody said you're not a real leader. I see big and bold on one of the news sites. I don't believe that. you're a smart dude, and I know you're listening. I saw firsthand that you actually listen to the people. You know, we got a brand new cruise ship deal coming. $35 million just signed last week or week before. And that was because you listen to the people. I've seen a bunch of press release going out where you're encouraging people to special purpose investment, what they call vehicle. I see request for proposal to run the ports. You're asking locals. You know, the problem is you gain them 1 week, which I find a bit strange. But at least you're giving people an opportunity to send in the information and be a part of this wonderful, wonderful development. So show some leadership. You know, cut the politics out. We need proper care. However you have to go about doing it in the right way and still include all people, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's stop this nonsense. Eye care is desperately needed in this territory, and we need full eye care all the way down to the surgery, all the way down to all the follow-up, the post-care. With that said, Courtney, I'll leave the rest for you.
All right, well, Sam, we had a wonderful show here talking about minimum wage, scholarships, you know, water and sewage issues on Virgin Gorda, speed bumps to the bats. You know, we had IKEA, we had a lot of stuff here, so we were able to touch on, even talk a bit about labor unions and that kind of stuff tonight. We had a wonderful show. We were able to answer a lot of, respond to a lot of the texts that came in, and we also had a number of callers who, you know, who shared their views with the people of this territory, and of course, that is what this show is all about, to allow people to, you know, to speak their mind and be frank about issues that are affecting them from all of it, from Anegada all the way to Joshua Dyke. So yes, Sam, we had you know, a wonderful time here as usual, and we're out of time. And as I usually say, this time, God bless these Virgin Islands and the people that live in them, and we'll see you again next week.